Hello, everyone. This is Willie Sublet III, founder of the RightTouch Solutions, and welcome back to the RightTouch Rundown. In last week's episode, we quickly discussed, well, quickly for my long-winded tale, the idea of clarity and how every strategy begins with everyone truly understanding where we are, where we're going, and why. Clarity is that needed compass. But now it's time to put that compass to work. Today, we are going to build a little more on that foundation and talk about how to create a plan that works. One that lives, breathes, and guides your team for the next 3, 4, 5 years, instead of one that just sits in a folder that you never open again. You worked hard, my friends, so strut that thing around and let the people see your work. How often have you and your board spent so much time in these planning meetings only to realize 6 months later you can't find an action step or the spreadsheet or remember any deadlines? You're stuck wondering, what did I say? Did anybody take a picture of that whiteboard? Well, let me tell you something today. This episode is for you. Now let's level set. Every year, every organization, not just yours, spends all those hours in planning sessions because you're supposed to. Creating beautiful documents, roadmaps, placemats filled with goals, colors, timelines, initiatives. Then the new year begins, whether it's January, April, June, whenever your fiscal year starts, and those plans seem to slowly disappear in the background behind an array, or I call it an assault of new emails, new fires, new priorities, and new things that makes your mission want to drift. But be careful. The truth is that a plan that does not move with your organization will not serve your mission. A good plan should be more like a roadmap, not a report. You should be able to look at it and know where you are, what comes next, and who is responsible for making it happen. Too often, my friends, we create those plans, and I put we in there, that look amazing in presentation slides and decks, but they never make it into our daily and monthly conversations. They get filed away because the goals just feel too large to get to. The time frames are too long. People can't see the end of the tunnel. They know it's a good thing down there, but they've gotten restless. Or, and most importantly, the ownership is unclear. Who's supposed to do this? Here is a simple thought to keep in mind. If your plan cannot tell you what to do in the next 3 Mondays or next couple months, it is not actionable enough, my friends. A plan that works is one that directly connects the vision and to action. It reminds the team that their work matters and how what they do moves the organization. Sometimes people just feel like I'm spinning my wheels. Remind them that you're not spinning your wheels. That wheel spins to hit that dial, and when that dial moves, it goes down and around. And next thing you know, we're at our mission. That is what progress should look like. Now that we got all that out the way, we talked about how some of them can fail and whatnot. Let's talk about how we can actually build one that works. A working plan answers simple questions that every person in your organization should be able to repeat. As always, I'm going to give you 3. Of course, there are more, but I love 3s. What are we trying to accomplish? Here is where we identify the main goals or outcomes for the next few years. These should clearly tie directly back to your mission and vision. Number 2, my friends, how will we measure that progress? This is your success indicators. Think of it as a scoreboard, right? They do not have to be overly complicated and technical. It just needs to be measurable enough to show movement. When movement is shown, it gives people hope. It gives them extra drive. But if they're moving and they never see a score happen, that's when that fatigue happens and burnout starts to creep its ugly self in there because people are not seeing that they're making progress. So keep that ugly demon burnout out your way by helping your people be more visible with measurements. Number 3, who is responsible for making this happen? This, my friends, is where plans fall apart. Each goal or focus area needs a clear owner. Accountability must live with people, not just in paper and file cabinets or in systems and clouds. We need to know who's responsible for that. It is wonderful, again, to be visible and have things out and talk about it, but having a goal with nobody touching it and just hoping somebody grabs it, that goal going to be sitting up there with cobwebs in the corner. When you can answer those 3 questions, your plan will begin to take shape. From there, you'll be able to structure it into clear levels that guide the organization. Let me give you about 3 different levels. I'm going to stay with 3, so I don't care what you say. We're going to do the first level because I love to go downward. It'll be our 3-year view. That's the big picture. Where are we going as an organization, and what major changes or outcomes will define our success? Our year 1 goal, that is our focus area. What do we need to accomplish in the next 12 months to move closer to that 3-year vision? So you're going to have 3 different years to get to 3 years. That's how one works. That's quick math for you. I don't want you, again, putting all your things in 1 year. We all know how I feel about burnout. If you can prevent it, and you can prevent it. Then we want to move into our 90-day actions. Those are our traction steps. These are more specific actions that should be visible. They should always be on your meeting agendas. They should always somehow make it into a dashboard. And they should always be on those updates that you give to your general body, to your sponsors, to your board, to yourself when you're out there planning, my leaders. When you look at a completed plan that is built with all those things, it should feel clear, it should feel doable, and it should feel alive. You can easily see how every part connects. This structure keeps everyone grounded. Now, again, my levels, that 3-year view that'll hold your direction. That 1 year will give you goals to keep you focused. And then that 90-day action gives you the traction you need to keep pushing forward. This approach makes progress visible. It gives every board meeting, staff update, volunteer know-all, beginning year kickoff, something tangible to measure. If you walk into a meeting and no one can point to which part of the plan that theirs fits into, then you don't have a plan. Maybe you have a poster. Now, side note, I know organizations, some of y'all, have rotating boards with term limits, and you might be asking yourself, Willie, how can I make a 3-year plan if my term is only 1 to 2 years? Great question. Thank you for asking. A leader who plans beyond their own term is exactly the kind of leader that I want to follow. It is somebody who strengthens the organization. They focus on mission and vision, not just their moment. And again, that's how we move from a founder-focused organization to a mission-focused organization. On the boards I sit on, I say all the time, even when I get out of the big seat, which is the president's seat, or the CEO, or the founder, the treasurer, whatever seat you're in, even after you leave, whatever you've done should help push that mission forward. All right. So let's see what a plan in motion looks like. So bear with me now. We got to do some imagining. You know, I'm a small kid dad, so I do a lot of imagining, a lot of planning. So let's see here. Imagine with me. Let me get a scenario real quick. Gotcha. Your organization's vision is to increase financial literacy across the city, whatever city you live in. It's a beautiful city, and I love it. That is your 3-year goal, 3-year view, our level we were talking about. You want to see more families confidently managing their money and more students learning about budgeting before college graduation. Because one thing I see a lot in my previous finance world, we have a lot of students graduating making a bunch of great money, but their Chase account is trash because they don't know how to manage and budget. So to move forward on that vision, You want to create a 1-year goal or some 1-year goals. Let's see, this year, the focus might be on launching 3 new community workshops. You're going to partner with a couple local schools and then try to secure a grant to fund the materials needed. Then comes the 90-day actions. What kind of 90-day actions can we get? These are your steps that make the plan move, those traction steps we're talking about. So let's give me some 90 days. Let's see here. In the first 90 days, the team outlines the workshop topics and confirms locations. In the next 90 days, you can recruit your volunteers, start teaching that pilot session. And then the final quarter, you evaluate your results and adjust for the next year. Come on, you better imagine, Willie, that was quick. Every layer of the plan builds on the one before it. The 3-year drives the direction, the 1 year gave your focus, and the 90 days created that movement. Now, let's pull this back to the human side. Because again, as I always say, you are dealing with humans. Yes, it's an organization, but it's built on humans who do what? Volunteer. So during each stage, communication is what keeps your plan alive. My leaders, share updates. Share them with your board so everybody stays connected to the progress. Board members, directors, staff, volunteers, share that, what you're learning, so you can adjust, and adjustments can be made early. Yes, just because the president and the board made something, as a director and maybe a dedicated volunteer, you're reading and say, oh, let me talk to him about this because, yes, it sounds great, but in the field, we can't do this, right? I use the analogy all the time that the boardroom says, let's switch to purple pens because it costs less and we'll save millions. But nobody asked somebody on the field that said, hey, we can't do documents on this client unless it's in black. Now we have to rebuy, and now we've double spent. So make sure you're talking and communicating that plan. Wins, every small one. Celebrate those wins so people can see that their work is creating impact. That is what it looks like when a plan moves from paper to progress. The vision does not stay trapped in a document. It shows up in real results, it shows up in real relationships, and it shows up in real stories that are talked about to reflect your mission. When you see a plan working like that, it becomes way more than a checklist. It becomes a rhythm that shapes how your organization thinks, how your organization meets and measures success. But creating that rhythm is only half the work. The real challenge is keeping it alive once that excitement from planning session starts to fade. So now that the plan is built, that was our imagination plan, let us talk about how do we keep it alive? Because a plan that is not revisited, again, will quietly fade. Y'all see the theme? If you don't look at it, if you don't touch it, if you don't do something with it, it's going to fade. I hope y'all are getting the theme, and I said it 4 times. I always tell leaders that the hardest part of planning is not the meeting where you create the plan. It is the months that follow when the energy starts to fade, when daily life takes over, when all those kid fundraisers slip up, when your son comes in and gives you a project last minute and you have to go get a poster board, but you had planned on doing this. When you're dealing with geriatrics and pediatrics, if you're in the middle stage of life as I am, or let's just be honest, when life, be lifing. So a plan that stays alive when it becomes part of the organization's rhythm, that means setting regular touch points to review progress, talk about your barriers, and celebrate again those small wins. Yes, the big ones too, but celebrate those small ones. Try adding a few of these rhythms to your year. I'm going to give you 3. Quarterly reviews. Take time every few months to measure progress against your goals. Update the board, celebrate what worked, and identify what needs adjusting. Number 2, monthly post checks. Keep the plan visible in your meetings. A quick 5-minute update on one key goal can keep people aware and accountable. The more you talk about it, the more they know we're going to talk about it. So maybe you did send an email and you didn't get a response. You're going to see them at the board meeting. But if you keep that rhythm and culture of them already knowing, we're going to talk about this. So you're going to either have an update or not. But everybody going to know. I believe in visibility. It gets people wanting to do right because nobody wants to be shrugging their shoulders in public, especially adults. They hate it. And lastly, an annual refresh. So before you jump into the new planning session next year, I want you to take time to reflect on what you accomplished, what stalled, and what needs to evolve. And then do that rinse and repeat before that meeting is over, because you really want to make sure you talked about all the things that stalled and what needs to evolve, because you don't want to bring that into the next year. The goal is to not constantly rewrite your plan. I am not asking you to do that. I want you to look at it. The goal is to make sure your plan reflects the real work that is happening. So it is not about always looking at it and ready to revamp it. No, we are looking at it and constantly talking about it to make sure we're moving forward and we haven't drifted, because missions drift and we don't want that to happen. We want to make sure that rhythm gives us a good rudder to move forward and make sure we're not moving with the sways of what's happening around us. When your plan is alive, it will speak. It will sing. It will make you sit back in your chair and drink it in. It tells your team what is working, what needs attention, and where your energy should go next. Now, let us take a moment to talk directly to my leaders, which is everybody, because I believe you lead from where you are. This is very, very important. Plans do not move, missions, people do. Even the best strategies ever written will sit still if no one feels connected to it. We talked many episodes ago that if no one understands your why, they will not do your what. Your role as a leader is to make sure the plan belongs to everyone, not just the executive team or the board. Empower your committee, empower your staff, empower your volunteers, empower your lay members who come time to time to own their part of the plan. When people can see themselves in the strategy, accountability feels like pride instead of pressure. I also want to do a quick caveat. Also empower those sponsors, because when they feel like they are part of it, they may get a little bit more than changes, okay? A working plan is shared leadership in motion. It is a collaboration with purpose. It shows the direction, how direction comes with clarity, but progress comes from truth. And if something in the plan stops working, give your team permission to speak up. Raise your hand and say, we found. Mr. President, we drifted. We drifted. But they won't do that if you haven't built a culture where they feel they have the permission to speak up. So I want you to make sure you're constantly checking yourself and doing that self-evaluation, that self-awareness we just talked about again last week. A flexible plan is a healthy plan. Leaders who listen build organizations that last. You do not know everything. And when you're in your chair and at your desk making these plans and agendas, you made it to discuss it and grow it with the team. Do not make it with the mindset that this is going to be the end all be all, because it very much will not be. You have a board of diverse people, of organizations, of life, experience, and culture on purpose. Use them. Whew, my friends, here is the key. The goal of planning is not perfection. It is about consistency. It's about connection, and it's about direction. You can adjust as you go. That's fine. The plan is there to keep you moving, not trap you in a box. When I talk about drift, we're going to talk about drift much later on in a couple of weeks, but it's not saying never move. It's saying never get way over or way over. It's nothing wrong with a little wiggle room. You need it, because life, again, be life, and even for organizations, as it learns to be an alive thing. It takes clarity that we discussed in last episodes and all the episodes because I love clarity. And it turns it into structure, movement, and shared ownership. When everyone understands the direction, sees how their piece contributes to the whole, that is when your momentum becomes your culture. So, as you head into your next planning sessions, ask yourself this simple question: does our plan live in conversations? Or is it only in documents that we're looking forward to putting in the cloud? Because that plan that lives in ongoing conversations are the ones that actually work. All right, my friends. I'll see you next week for a quick discussion. I'm going to do my best to make it quick about alignment. We will talk about how to connect your board, your staff, your budget, connect all that so they move together in the same direction. I want to thank you again for hanging out with me at the RightTouch Rundown. If this helps you think differently about your approach to planning, share it with another leader in your network who is working on their goals for next year. Don't you gatekeep. Follow RightTouch Solutions for more weekly insights, and remember, mission moves best with structure. I look forward to seeing you all again next week. Have a great week. Make it a great one.